Heartwarming moment revealed, CEO breaks down over loss, but mechanic exposes an incredible truth. In the small American town of Cedar Grove, it was just another rainy afternoon. The low rumble of thunder matched the turbulent emotions brewing beneath the surface. As the rain drummed against the roof of Jake's humble auto shop, a sleek black car rolled in, contrasting sharply with the dirt of his gravel lot. Out stepped Tom, the high-profile CEO draped in expensive fabrics, his polished shoes gleaming like a mirror. But beneath that facade, the weight of loss tugged at him like the heaviest anchor. Today marked the first month since he buried his father, a war hero whose absence echoed through the town. The moment Jake raised his wrench, the sound was like a jolt in the air. It carried the weight of grief. He glanced at Tom's eyes, glistening with unshed tears. "You doing all right, buddy?" Jake asked, his voice surprisingly gentle. The CEO, caught off guard, choked back the emotions threatening to spill over. I miss him," he admitted, his voice cracking. Both men stood on the precipice, about to share their heavy burdens. As Jake worked on the car, the narrative shifted from mere mechanics to heartfelt confessions. "You know, my dad worked himself to the bone in a factory," Jake said, trying to bridge the gaps. Tom nodded, heart racing, feeling an unexpected kinship in shared loss. "My father wanted something different for me. He sacrificed everything." The words were barely a whisper, but they carried the grit of honesty. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. But beyond the small talk, the threat of Tom's father's tarnished legacy loomed like a storm cloud. A bitter neighbor, emboldened by jealousy and a history of grievances, had recently shared explosive allegations. Whispers circulated that Tom's father, with all his decorated glory, had a secret that could unravel everything. The community chose sides. Some saw Tom as a sellout, while others rallied around the legacy of their hero. "Jake, I don't know how to honor his memory," Tom confessed, his hands running through his hair, distress burning in his chest. "Every decision I make feels tainted. He wouldn't have wanted this." Jake felt the air thicken between them. "Your old man was about hard work, not just success. Maybe reclaiming that spirit is what matters," he replied, a flame of conviction igniting within him. Just then, a siren blared in the distance, escalating the town's tension. The stakes were rising, revealing the cracks in their small-town facade. Jake could sense the pulse of the community machine cranking into action. "You've got a choice to make, Tom. You can bridge that gap. Honor your father's true legacy by helping this town." Hope flickered in that worn mechanic's voice, igniting a passion that felt like it bore the weight of history. Tom stared at Jake, the bond between them nearly tangible, teetering on the edge of transformation. They stood at a crossroads, where their individual lives collided into something larger than themselves. Would Tom rise to the occasion? Or would he falter, losing the very essence of who he was, defined by his father's love, the town's embrace, and the fierce struggle for redemption? As the rain continued to pour, the townsfolk waited for a resolution, hanging on each word, each possibility, anticipating what would emerge from this unexpected union of lives intertwined. Tom took a deep breath, the tension rippling in the air as if the clouds themselves were waiting for his response. He felt the weight of the town's eyes on him, their expectations like a thick fog surrounding them. "You really think helping this town would honor my dad?" he asked, his voice softer, more vulnerable than it had been earlier. "Absolutely," Jake replied, determined now. "Your father cared about people, not just profits. This town raised him, shaped him. You can bring that spirit back." A flicker of uncertainty crossed Tom's eyes, but behind it, Jake saw something else, an ember of hope. The rain drizzled down, creating a soothing rhythm on the metal roof above them. Jake wiped his hands on a greasy rag, stepping closer. What if you used your resources to bring us together? You have the power to mend things. Imagine, a community center where people can gather, share stories, even heal. Your family's legacy could live on that way. For a moment, the idea hung in the air between them, burgeoning with potential. Tom let out a shaky breath, but the ghost of doubt tugged at him still. It sounds good, Jake. But what if I fail? What if the accusations against my dad hold weight? What if I can't live up to what he was? Every step forward starts with a risk, Jake said, feeling fire in his own heart. But it's better to try and fail than to never try at all. You're more than your father's shadow, Tom. You can carve your own path. Tom looked out the dusty window, the rain tracing down the glass like tears, a reflection of his own tumultuous thoughts. He thought of the townsfolk, their faces etched with confusion and hurt, each one waiting for a chance to believe again. Maybe it was time to take a leap. Maybe it was time to stand tall, even in the storm. Before he could speak, a loud knock echoed from the front of the shop, breaking the moment. Both men turned toward the sound, standing tense and alert. When Jake opened the door, there stood Mrs. Johnson, the town's unofficial historian, a woman whose steely gaze had both commanded respect and instilled fear. She clutched a couple of faded photographs, her expression a mixture of determination and something like desperation. Tom, she said, voice steady yet laced with concern. We need to talk. This isn't just about your father anymore, it's about this town, about us. Jake glanced at Tom, feeling the nervous energy around them. The stakes were suddenly higher, and the urgency hung uncomfortably in the shop like a thick cloud. All right, Tom said, summoning his courage. Let's talk. As they stepped outside, the downpour lightened, but the air was electric with anticipation. Tom felt his heart racing. Could this be the moment he took back control of his father's legacy? Would he step into the light or remain shrouded in the darkness of doubt? As Mrs. Johnson began to speak, the weight of what was to come hung in the air. The town was at a tipping point, and he was in the center of it all. Would he find the strength to face the truth? Or would the broken pieces of his father's past shatter everything he held dear? As the words began to flow, Tom felt the storm inside him growing restless, ready to explode. What awaited him could change everything. Mrs. Johnson's voice cut through the thick atmosphere. Tom, your father was more than just a businessman to this town. He was a friend, a leader. But he didn't just leave behind a legacy of success, he left behind a puzzle, too. One that needs solving. Tom braced himself. What do you mean? She handed him the faded photographs, their edges tattered and worn. They depicted his father with various townsfolk, laughing and sharing moments that felt genuine and warm. In one, he was crouched down, sharing a joke with a group of children. The happiness on their faces sent a ripple of confusion through Tom's chest. We need to remember the whole story, not just the good or the bad. Your father, he made mistakes, yes, but he also made a lot of good choices. Choices that brought this community together. Tom studied the pictures, blinking back a rush of emotion. So, you believe that if I unveil this good, it could change things? Absolutely, Jake chimed in. If you could show the community all the good he did, how he uplifted people, it could mend the rift. It could show them that he cared. But as Tom continued to flip through the photographs, a pit formed in his stomach. What if the allegations against him are right? What if all this good is overshadowed by the bad? Mrs. Johnson sighed, her gaze softening. Tom, no one is perfect. Not even your father. The truth will always come out. But if you don't at least try to honor him and find out the truth, then we lose more than just his story, we lose each other. People focused on his mistakes, but maybe they've forgotten how he stood up for them during hard times, Jake added. Use your platform. Build that community center and invite them to remember together. As the words settled into Tom's heart, a flicker of resoluteness ignited within him. He gazed at the rain-soaked streets, at the small-town charm that held so many stories. "You're right. I can't run from this. I need to face it." But there was still uncertainty behind his eyes. What if I expose something that breaks this town apart? What if my father's truth hurts rather than heals? Then it's your job to ensure the healing comes from that truth, Mrs. Johnson replied, her eyes sharp. Don't shy away from your father's legacy. Embrace it, flaws and all. Show them that it's okay to be imperfect. The pace of the world around him slowed as he processed her words. In that moment, influence felt heavy, but the weight was also liberating. He could steer the narrative, reshape it. He could bring people together instead of tearing them further apart. With a stronger voice, he said, I'll start by talking to the townsfolk. I'll set up meetings. We'll unveil the truth together. Mrs. Johnson smiled appreciatively, and Jake gave him a gentle pat on the back. That's the spirit. You've got this, Tom. As they stood together, rain lightly tapping against the ground, a hopeful energy emerged among them. Yet, deep down, Tom knew each meeting would also pull him into the emotional whirlpool of old wounds, unclear truths, and lingering fears. Tension simmered just beneath the surface, the thought of confrontation looming. Just as he felt for a moment that he could do this, a new wave of doubt crashed over him. Would he actually be able to handle what the townsfolk had to say? Would they still see him as their father's son or just a reflection of his mistakes? The unknown stretched ahead of him like a vast ocean. Tom took a deep breath, uncertainty gathering around him. But as he looked at the photographs in his hand, he whispered, it's time to face whatever comes next, and with that, he felt the storm within him evolve, ready for the first step on an uncertain journey. What would those meetings reveal? And would the truth bring light or darkness to the town? The morning sun peeked through the clouds, casting a golden light that broke the rain-soaked stillness of the previous day. Tom stood at the front door of the old town hall, his heart pounding in his chest. He had scheduled his first meeting for later that afternoon, but anxiety gripped him tight. He glanced at the photographs in his hand once more. Each face held a memory, all tangled up in a legacy that felt part myth, part reality. Would the people who once loved his father embrace him, or would they see only the shadow of a man they thought they knew? His phone buzzed, breaking him from his thoughts. It was a text from Jake, "You ready?" Tom without thinking typed back, "As ready as I'll ever be." But the truth was, he felt anything but prepared. He took a step back from the door, deciding to take a moment before he faced the crowd waiting for him. He thought back to the photo of his father laughing with the children. He could almost hear their giggles echoing in the hall. Was that man still alive in their memories, or had they buried him alongside the scandal? Decision made, he turned to walk to the park where families gathered for morning play. It felt good to be moving, even if his mind spun with trepidation. Perhaps he could gather strength from them. After all, this town was built on connections, relationships that flowed like old rivers through their lives. Tom approached a group of mothers and their kids, all of them enjoying the early warmth of spring. The laughter of the children reminded him of how intertwined their lives were. That's when he spotted Mrs. Carter, an elder known for her wisdom. "Hey, Mrs. Carter," he called, trying to keep his voice steady. She turned, a smile breaking across her weathered face. "Well, if it isn't Tom. Your father would be proud." "Thank you," he said, though the compliment felt heavy on his shoulders. "Can I ask you for a moment?" They moved to a quieter spot beneath a spreading oak. Tom hesitated, the words tangled in his throat. "I'm planning some meetings to discuss everything that happened with my dad. I want people to remember him clearly. The good and the bad." Mrs. Carter nodded slowly. "That's a brave thing you're doing." But there was something in her eyes, a flicker of doubt. "People have strong feelings, Tom. Think about how they lost trust. Are you sure you want to open those wounds?" Her question hung in the air like a challenge. Tom felt a flicker of frustration but pushed it aside. I can't hide from it. He deserves that, and so do we. She looked at him, considering his words. You're right. But just remember, not everyone will want to hear that truth. Some may blame you for your father's mistakes, not recognizing he was human. Tom swallowed hard. There it was, the fear he'd been trying to shake. What if they just see the bad? What if they never forgive him? Maybe you need to help them see it differently. Her voice softened. Remind them of who he was, but also show them who he wasn't. The good cannot overshadow the bad, but it can exist alongside it. You might be surprised at how healing that can be. He took a deep breath, Mrs. Carter's words igniting a flicker of hope within him. Maybe this wouldn't be just about unraveling the past but rebuilding bonds too. As he walked back towards the town hall, he felt a little lighter. Sure, the task ahead was daunting, but perhaps the community needed this journey just as much as he did. Standing at the entrance, he hesitated again as townsfolk shuffled inside, nervous energy buzzing in the air. Would they be ready for this? Tom clenched the photographs tighter, the faces staring back at him like a silent jury. All right. Let us do this, he murmured. Just as he pushed the door open, he caught a glimpse of a familiar figure in the crowd, a figure from his father's past. The old man's presence sent a chill through him. Who was he, and what story would he bring to the unfolding drama? Would this revelation be the spark or the downfall? The old man stood at the back of the room, framed by the doorway, his face shadowed but unmistakably familiar. Tom felt his heart race, not just from nerves but a deep and unnameable connection. Memories flickered in his mind, snippets of conversation, laughter, the almost fatherly tone that wrapped around his childhood memories. Was this man a friend, a foe, or something in between? As he stepped inside the town hall, the small community room held a blend of anxious faces, all eyes turned toward him. He spotted Jake in the front row, giving him a reassuring nod, but Tom's focus returned to the old man. He had to know more. Was he here for reconciliation or to stir the pot? As he took a deep breath, ready to address the crowd, the murmurs began to settle. Thank you all for coming, he started, his voice trembling slightly. I know this isn't easy for many of you. It's not easy for me either. He could see Mrs. Carter nodding subtly, that wisdom still shining through despite her earlier concern. The room felt charged, every person holding their breath, waiting for what would come next. I'm here today to talk about my father, Tom continued. The man you all knew, loved, and perhaps even resented. The words stirred a tense atmosphere. I want to remember him accurately. Tom glanced at the old man in the back. His expression shifted, eyes narrowing slightly, as if weighing every syllable. This man was a piece of the puzzle he didn't yet understand. I know his mistakes hurt this community deeply. He made choices that affected us all. There was a shift of energy, some people shifted uncomfortably, while others nodded. But he was also brave, caring, and deeply flawed, a human being like all of us. A silence enveloped the room. Tom felt more emboldened by the moment. The photographs weighed in his hands, symbols of love and hurt alike. He then began speaking about the memories each photo held, the laughter, the warmth, but also the shadows that danced just beneath the surface. Mid-sentence, the old man shifted, his weathered hands clutching the back of a chair. Tom caught his eye, the flicker of memory as strong as his own. You knew him, he said suddenly, locking eyes with the man, heart pounding. Can you tell us about the man he was? The room held its collective breath, and all attention shifted to the old man now standing a little straighter. Tom could almost feel the weight of the crowd transfer to him. What would he say? Would it be a testament to Tom's father, or would it unearth more pain? The old man took a step forward, clearing his throat as he prepared to speak. Your father, he was many things, but above all, he tried. His voice wavered, and every person leaned in closer, desperate to grasp the truth. Tom felt a surge of emotions: hope, fear, nostalgia. Would this be the moment that steered memories towards healing, or would it lead down darker paths? He couldn't shake the question lingering in his mind: what would the old man reveal? And just as he opened his mouth, a loud crash echoed from the entrance, making everyone jump. The doors swung wide, and a wild-eyed woman rushed in, her hair a frenzied mess, revealing a face twisted in desperation. "You have to listen to me," she cried. "You don't know the whole story." The unexpected arrival sent a wave of uncertainty through the crowd, urgency mixed with confusion. Tom's heart raced again. What would this stranger unveil? Would it hold truths that shattered everything he thought he knew about his father? The woman's frantic eyes swept across the room before resting on Tom. Her breath came in quick gasps, yet there was an undeniable intensity in her gaze. "I know your father. He wasn't who you think he was." Tom felt a jolt of confusion mixed with anger. Who was this woman? How could she claim to know his father better than those who had lived beside him? Tension swept through the room like electricity. Old resentments danced on the edges of memories. "Calm down," Tom said, trying to keep his voice steady. "Who are you? Why are you here?" "I'm Lily," she said, stepping closer to the front, almost stumbling as she went. "My father worked with him long before you were born." That added a layer to the mystery, but Tom remained skeptical. "What do you mean? What could you possibly know?" Lily took a deep breath, her hands trembling. "Your father, he was dragged into something deep, dark. It wasn't just mistakes. It was more than what you can see." Tom's heart raced again. The uncertainty was gnawing at him. The old man's face, still standing by the doorway, flickered between concern and curiosity, reflecting Tom's own rapid emotions. "Then tell us," the old man finally spoke, voice steady but layered with gravity. "What darkness are you talking about?" The room grew quiet again, the weight of her revelation sinking in, forcing everyone to confront the reality they had either ignored or misunderstood. Tom could feel the crowd's energy shift as they turned their attention from him to her. It felt like the culmination of years' worth of buried fears and unspoken truths. Lily hesitated. "I didn't want to bring this up, but it's about a deal your father tried to pull away from. There were consequences he couldn't escape. He wasn't just a bad man. He was a man trying to save his family in a way you can't understand." The fabric of Tom's understanding began to unravel. Who was this woman, and what truths could she reveal? Save his family? From what? From the people who would have destroyed everything he loved. "Trust me when I say, whatever you've heard, it's so much deeper. You need to know the real story." Her voice cracked, a vulnerability breaking through the facade of desperation. Tom felt the temperature of the room change. Eyes shifted to the ground, uncomfortable shuffles replaced the earlier tension. "What are you talking about?" he asked again, frustration edging into his voice, unwilling to let her off the hook. "What exactly did he do?" Behind him, the old man took a step forward, seemingly ready to intervene. "This isn't the time, no." "This is exactly the time," Lily interrupted. Her voice was fierce, fury blending with tears. "You think you can protect him by keeping everything buried? You deserve the truth, Tom." Tom's spirit wavered. He wanted to retreat into his memories, to cling to the nostalgia of simpler times, but the weight of her words was shifting his ground. What if his father's mistakes weren't merely human flaws? He found himself at a crossroads, truth dangling tantalizingly close. The room was thick with emotion, the air charged and crackling with unresolved fears and unsteady hopes. "Please, Lily. Just tell me what you know," he urged, feeling a tremor of vulnerability spill into his voice. Lily looked him straight in the eye, something like determination in her gaze. "Your father wasn't just a flawed man, he was caught in a web of something dangerous, and it's time you knew. I can help you understand, but first, you need to trust me." Tom didn't know what to say. Behind him, He felt the old man's eyes boring into him, pleading for patience, for understanding, but could he afford to wait any longer? As silence swallowed the room, Tom realized he had a choice to make. Would he dig deeper into the shadows of his father's past, or would he let this moment slip away into uncertainty? The question hung heavy in the air, leaving everyone breathless. What awaited them in the shadows? Tom's heart thudded in his chest, the seconds dragging like hours as he searched Lily's face for answers, for clarity. The room was smaller than it felt, the weight of every gaze pressing down on him. Trust you? He finally managed, disbelief lacing his voice. You're asking me to trust a stranger who shows up claiming my father is a mystery? How do I know you're not just looking to stir up trouble? Lily's expression softened, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. Because I know what it's like to lose someone shrouded in secrets. I would never throw your family's name into the dirt without reason. Tom's breath hitched. The pain in her eyes mirrored the deep wells of hurt inside him. Look, she continued, her tone growing tender, I'm not here to hurt you or your family. I just want you to understand. If you push this away now, you'll carry that weight forever. He opened his mouth to retort but faltered. A part of him hungered for understanding, for the missing pieces of his father's life. Tell me about this deal, he whispered, his voice steadier now. What did he get involved in? Lily stepped closer, her voice a low murmur. Years ago, before you were born, your father entered a partnership that had grim implications. It was supposed to secure a bright future for your family, but it came at a price. What kind of price? Danger. Blood. People who want control, who will stop at nothing to protect their interests, even if that means causing harm. The crowd stirred, tense and alert. Tom felt the old man shift behind him, sense of impending discovery palpable in the air. Those people, they were in it for themselves. They would drag anyone down who threatened their plans. What does that have to do with my father? Tom pressed, desperation creeping in. How did he try to pull away? He realized too late the forest he had walked into, the way it tangled around him like ivy, choking his every chance at escape. He didn't just fail, he was bound, embroiled in far deeper betrayals than you could imagine. Silence fell again. Tom felt like he was balancing on a cliff, the edge cracked and crumbling beneath him. The weight of his past surged as his father's choices loomed like shadows cast from old memories. Did he ever tell you? Lily asked, breaking the stillness. Did he ever share the truth with you? Tom shook his head, the memories of his father rising like ghosts in a fog. No. He always seemed so invincible. Lily's expression softened. No one is invincible, not even when we want them to be. She reached out, bringing her hand gently to his, connecting with warmth and sincerity. Let me help you uncover what he fought against. Maybe then you can see him for who he really was. Tom felt the gentle pressure of her hand, a lifeline amidst a storm. Darkness seemed to swirl around the edges of his thoughts, but her presence anchored him. Are you saying you know how to find those people? He asked, hope battling with hesitation. They left traces, Tom. Marks they can't erase. If we dig into the past together, I promise we can uncover the truth your father wanted to protect. His mind raced, and suddenly the weight of his decision bore down even heavier. Could he step into this uncertain world with her? Was he ready to chase those shadows into the unknown? The crowd watched, anticipation buzzing like 1,000 murmurs. The old man's face was etched with worry, but he remained silent, allowing Tom to wrestle with his choice. Tom took a deep breath, feeling the tightness in his chest begin to loosen just slightly. All right, let us find out what really happened. As the words fell from his lips, a ripple of energy coursed through the room. Each person present could sense the shift, something profound was about to unfold. But in that moment of resolve, doubt flickered at the edges. What if the truth shattered him forever? What if his father wasn't the man he believed? Let us go, then, he said, voice steady but heart racing as he turned to Lily. Tell me where to start. Just as they moved to step outside, a commotion erupted from the edge of the gathering. Someone gasped, and Tom's heart sank, a premonition settling heavy. What if their search for the truth led them into even darker territories than they ever anticipated? With a shiver of uncertainty, he wondered what awaited them outside those doors. Tom hesitated, eyes darting from Lily to the thrumming mass of people behind him. The commotion surged, and he felt the air shift, heavy with expectation. Lily's grip tightened on his hand, as if sensing his turmoil. "We should go," she urged, her voice urgent but whisper soft. He turned back to her, searching her face for comfort. "What is happening?" But as if in answer, a figure burst through the crowd. It was a woman, her expression wild, breathless with urgency. "Tom!" The room felt like it held its breath. The faces around him shifted from curiosity to concern. "Tom, you need to hear this. Something's gone wrong," she panted, her words spilling out like a broken dam. "Who are you?" He didn't have the patience for cryptic explanations. The resurgence of doubt clawed at him again. Just listen." She gasped, hands raised in a plea. "It's about your father. They're coming for you. I overheard them. They know you're looking for the truth." Fear knotted itself into the fabric of his heart. "What do you mean who?" "The men your father tried to get away from. The ones he was in too deep with," she breathed, scanning the room as if the shadows themselves were closing in. "No," Lily interjected, stepping protectively closer to Tom. "You're mistaken. He wasn't involved with them anymore." "Wasn't he involved?" The woman shook her head, her eyes wide. "What you don't understand is that they don't just let you walk away. They always track their loose ends." A chill clawed up Tom's spine. His father's secrets were bigger than he had even imagined. The desperation clawed at him, hungry and loud, demanding his attention. "What does that mean for us?" he asked, voice gravelly. "It means we need to leave. Now. You're not safe here." Tom exchanged glances with Lily. She looked scared but determined. He felt the weight of his decision ride on his shoulders again, it was heavier than before. From the back of the room, the old man stepped forward, worry painted on his face. "You have to listen to her, Tom. There are things you don't know, things that can hurt you." His heart raced. This was spiraling. "But I have to know," he shouted, the rawness of his need cutting through the chaos. "I'll never be free of this unless I face it." "Sometimes," the woman said, her voice slicing through, "facing it means running first, gathering what you need. The truth won't disappear. Not if it's meant to be found." The crowd murmured, a wave of whispers crashing against the walls. Tom could feel the urgency in the air, pressing against him. Tom, Lily's voice dipped low, almost pleading. "What if you dig too deep? What if it changes everything?" He felt torn. The thought of turning back gnawed at him, but disappointment lingered like a shadow. The pursuit of the truth had blossomed a fierce desire inside him one he couldn't extinguish. "Let us go then," he said, voice steady. "Let us find a way to protect ourselves while we search for what my father left behind." As they turned to leave, the air felt electric with unspoken fears. Just before they stepped outside, Tom caught sight of a dark figure lurking near the entrance, eyes glinting with an unsettling familiarity. A shiver swept through him. "Wait, who is that?" Before Lily could respond, the figure vanished into the shadows, leaving behind an ominous mystery. "Do you feel that?" Tom breathed. "Something tells me we're not the only ones looking for answers." With his pulse hammering, he stepped into the unknown. Whatever awaited outside the truth or danger, he could not ignore it now. What burdens would this choice bring them? Tom pushed the door open, the crisp night air hitting him like a torrent. A rush of uncertainty mixed with adrenaline surged through him. The shadows seemed to stretch and quiver, taunting him with secrets yet untold. He glanced back at Lily, her pale face illuminated by the street lamp. "Are you all right?" he asked, trying to ease the tight knot of worry forming in his chest. She drew in a shaky breath, casting her gaze around. I don't like this, Tom. We shouldn't be out here like this." Her words weighed heavily, echoing his own fears. But his mind was racing, thoughts colliding. The woman's warning replayed in his head, driving him forward. They stepped onto the quiet street, the cacophony of the crowd fading behind them. He felt a pull, an instinct leading him deeper into the night. "We need to find a safe place to talk," he said, scanning the surroundings. "Somewhere they can't find us." "Where?" she asked, her brow furrowing. "Let us head to the old diner on Maple. It's been closed for years but should still be intact." "Okay," she replied, hesitating only for a moment. With a nod, they started down the street, shadows flitting past them. As they walked, Tom struggled to form the words he needed. The truth about his father felt like a treacherous road, winding and dark. And yet the need to uncover it was a flame that burned brighter than his fear. Lily squeezed his hand, a comforting presence amidst the storm. "Tom, whatever we find, we can face it together. Just be careful." He looked at her, her eyes reflecting both strength and concern. "I will," he promised, though the tremor in his voice betrayed him. They reached the diner, the windows dark and the metal facade rusting from years of neglect. As they entered, the stale air washed over them, heavy with memories of laughter and late-night conversations. Faded red booths lined the walls, but there was no comfort here, only a sense of desolation that matched their current predicament. Tom leaned against the counter, breath steadying. "We should talk about what that woman said. About the men from my father's past." Lily lowered herself into a booth, her fingers tracing the scratchy vinyl. "You think they'll come after you? After us?" "I don't know," he admitted. "But the deeper I dig, the more I realize there are things I don't know about him. Secrets he took with him. Maybe some secrets are meant to stay buried," she said softly, her eyes downcast. He sighed, frustration mingling with despair. "But if I don't find the truth, I'll never feel free. I need to understand why he left, why he got involved with those men in the first place." Lily's gaze sharpened, concern flickering across her face. "Are you willing to put yourself at risk against people who are dangerous? You can't take this lightly, Tom." "I know," he assured her, the weight of her words landing heavily. "But I can't run away from my past. I have to confront it." Just then, the sound of a heavy thud echoed from outside, followed by shouts and footsteps drawing closer. Tom's heart raced, instinct kicking in. "Lily, we need to hide," he exclaimed, adrenaline coursing through his veins. They ducked into the cramped space behind the counter, hearts pounding as the voices grew louder. Peering through a crack in the worn wood, Tom's pulse quickened as he caught sight of several figures moving swiftly down the street. He held his breath, recognizing one of the silhouettes as the dark figure from earlier. "It's them," he whispered, panic creeping into his voice. Lily's eyes widened, fear mingling with determination. "Tom, we can't let them find us. What do we do now?" Tom stared into the shadows, realization dawning. "We're not safe here. We need to figure out where to go next before it's too late." As they huddled together, he felt the ice grip of anxiety, but with it came clarity. The stakes were higher now. Someone was after him, and he wouldn't let them sweep his father's secrets back into the darkness. What would he sacrifice to uncover the truth, and at what cost? Tom held his breath, the shadows from the outside casting long upon the dusty diner floor. He felt the panic claw at him but couldn't shake the sense of responsibility lurking in the corners of his mind. This wasn't just about him anymore. It was about uncovering the truths that had long been buried, even if they threatened to unveil darker realities about his father. "Lily," he whispered urgently, "if they find us here, we need an exit plan." She nodded, her face pale but determined. "There's a back door through the kitchen. If they come in, we'll have to make a run for it. Every heartbeat echoed loudly in his ears. Okay, we keep it quiet and stay ready. With one final glance at the looming darkness outside, Tom and Lily crawled cautiously along the dirty floor towards the kitchen door. The sound of hushed quarrels drew closer, almost palpable as the footsteps stepped onto the diner's creaky floor. I can't believe he's doing this, one voice grumbled. He's digging into things that don't concern him. It's too late to turn back now, another voice replied, brimming with urgency. He needs to be stopped before he draws too much attention. Tom's stomach churned. Panic surged together with adrenaline, and he clutched Lily's hand tighter. Those voices were talking about him. They wanted to shut him down before he remembered too much. This wasn't just about his father anymore, it was about survival and truth. Suddenly, the front door swung open with a loud crash that sent chills down his spine. The dim light from the street illuminated two men, figures sharp and dangerous. They surveyed the room, and their faces twisted with determination. We know he's in here, one of the men yelled, scanning the diner like a predator searching for prey. Tom! Come out. We just want to talk. Tom felt a chill as the man looked directly at the spot they were hiding. Go. Tom urged Lily. They slipped into the kitchen silently, squeezing through the narrow doorway just as the men moved closer. Once inside, Tom quickly surveyed the space, the old grease-stained surfaces mingling with a sense of nostalgia that felt foreign in this tense moment. He could hear the men's footsteps getting louder as they approached the kitchen. Where are you, Tom? The first man taunted. You think you can just hide from the past? You're in way over your head. Lily pressed against him, shivering. Tom grasped the handle of the back door and nodded at her. Ready? She nodded, determination flickering back into her eyes. With one swift motion, they burst through the door and sprinted into the alley behind the diner, hearts racing. The cold air hit them like a wall, but adrenaline propelled them forward, zigzagging through the shadows of the abandoned buildings. Where do we go? Lily panted, glancing back as they heard shouts from the men in pursuit. Towards the old train yard, Tom yelled. We can lose them in the warehouses. They ran, the sound of dogs barking from distant homes echoing behind them. His mind reeled with thoughts of the mysteries of his father's life and the dangers surrounding him now. As they reached the train yard, the sound of their feet echoed louder against the metal and concrete. Gasping for breath, they ducked behind a cluster of rusted train cars, listening intently to the footsteps approaching. Split up. He can't be far. One of the men shouted, and Tom instinctively knew they were moments away from capture. They'll find us. What do we do? Lily whispered, her voice trembling. Tom took a deep breath, desperation mingling with determination. We need to buy time. You head for the other side of the yard, and I'll distract them. If we can separate them, we might be able to escape. No, Tom. It's too risky. She protested, fear sparking in her eyes. Please. He replied, desperation lacing his voice. Trust me. I have to do this. I can't let them intimidate us any longer. With a hesitant nod, Lily squeezed his hand one last time before darting off towards the far end of the yard. Tom stole a look in the direction of the approaching men. All instincts screamed for him to run, but he couldn't abandon Lily or his father's memory. He darted out from behind the train car, waving his arms to catch their attention. Hey! Over here! His voice rang through the chilled air, shocking clarity cutting through the chaos. The men whipped their heads around, eyes narrowing. There he is. Get him. Tom took off running, but not before shouting back over his shoulder, you need to know the truth. The pursuit ignited. The men barreled after him, determination burning fiercely. He zigzagged between rusted boxes, leaping over debris, heart pounding as he urged himself forward. But before he could escape, a sharp shove on his shoulder sent him crashing against the ground, wind knocked from him. The familiar face he had seen at the town hall loomed over him threatening, furious. Did you really think you could just expose what has been buried? The man spat, his breath hot with anger. Your father wasn't the man you think he was. You have no idea what you're getting into. Tom struggled beneath him, adrenaline surging again. Let me go. You don't understand. We all deserve to know the truth. As he wrestled to rise, he spotted a flicker of movement out of the corner of his eye. Lily was still safe, hiding behind the train cars. But Tom's focus narrowed back on his captor, determination burning in his chest. You don't want the truth to come out, Tom said, forcing the words through grit teeth. You're scared of what it could entail for you. The man laughed darkly, pressing harder onto Tom. Fear isn't your weapon. It's ours. Your search will end here. Suddenly, a sharp crack of thunder echoed through the air, followed by the not-so-distant rumble of rolling thunder, nature's own warning. It triggered something deep inside Tom. His father had protected him from this darkness for so long, and now it was his turn to confront it. With a surge of strength, he pushed back against the man, breaking free for just a moment before sprinting. The gap between them closed, but fire burned stronger in Tom's veins. When he dashed behind another train car, he quickly turned and shouted, I may not know everything. But I refuse to walk away from my father's truth. The men skidded to a halt, confusion flickering across their faces. It gave Tom the precious seconds he needed to make a break towards the other side of the yard. And as he did, he caught a glimpse of Lily from the corner of his eye, waiting and ready. He felt something spark in his heart. They weren't running from the past, they were racing toward the truth, with every heartbeat open to the unknown. Together, they would face whatever came next. And with that resolve, they pushed forward, knowing that the real battle for truth had only just begun. As they reached the edge of the shadows, the first rays of dawn crept around the horizon, painting the sky in hopeful hues of orange and pink, heralding a new beginning amid uncertainty. The city beckoned, ready to unveil secrets long buried, and he knew without a doubt this was just the beginning of their journey toward redemption, healing, and, ultimately, forgiveness. It was time to bring light into the darkness. With Lily by his side, ready to face whatever awaited them, it was time to dig deeper, to uncover layers of truth, and to reclaim a legacy that belonged to them both. Because the past may be haunting, but together they would rewrite their story, one brave step at a time. Now, it's your turn. If you found hope and courage in this story, then you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support for our journey together. Leave a like to feed the algorithm and let it know you want more stories like this. We want to hear you. Comment down below about your feelings and reactions to Tom's transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how courage can change everything.